we are very honored that John Quinones is coming here today as Master of Ceremonies. John, where are you? And, you know, he's somewhere. Here he is. I'm going to introduce you.
Thank you. Thank you.
John doesn't really need much of an introduction. ABC News, What Would You Do, is he hosts, and you should see this because it's a universal message. Every day he goes to work, he's delivering the message that we all need to hear with his associate, Tony Pagano, who's all these cameras and everything. Tony and John work together.
Thank you.
And now I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you, David. Thank you. What a pleasure. Thank you, sir. Great. Yes, thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. It's an honor. Yes, we do that show, What Would You Do? The show that's made it impossible for me and my wife to go to dinner anywhere without people saying, all right, where are the hidden cameras, John? What's gonna happen tonight? It is the program, What Would You Do, that asks the simple question. When you witness something that's disturbing and that little voice in the back of your head says, do something, do you step in or do you step away? And that's what tonight is all about, isn't it? When we come face to face with injustice, with racism, with corruption, abuse, bullying, do we raise our voices in protest and sound the alarm, or do we remain silent because it's none of our business? You know, 50 years ago, Andrew Goodman, James Chaney, and Michael Schwerner were down in Mississippi valiantly reminding us that fighting injustice should be the business of all of us. These three young men were in the town of Neshoba making a difference, putting into practice the words of the Reverend Martin Luther King, who once so eloquently told us, our lives begin to end the day we remain silent about things that matter. Andrew, James, and Michael lost their lives trying to prove that voting rights for all of us mattered, regardless of the color of our skin. You know, in 1964, I was a young boy watching the civil rights movement unfold in San Antonio, Texas. The little Mexican-American kid who dreamed of someday becoming a network news correspondent. A lot of people who watch me on ABC News today have no idea the long, hard struggle that it took to get here. You know how a lot of people say we were poor, but we didn't know we were poor? We knew we were poor. we knew we were poor. My dad was a janitor. My mom used to clean houses on the rich part of town. And then when my dad was laid off from work, we did what a lot of Latino families did in South Texas. We joined a caravan of migrant farm workers, and we journeyed 1,600 miles from South Texas to Traverse City, Michigan, the cherry capital of the world, to pick cherries. 75 cents a bucket. It would take me 2 hours to fill that darn bucket. And then we followed the crops down to Ohio, where we picked tomatoes outside of Toledo, Ohio, 35 cents a bushel. I was a real good tomato picker, 100 bushels a day. And I'll never forget being on my knees on the cold, hard ground, and my father Bruno looking down and saying, Juanito, here I was, looking at a row of tomato plants that for a young 13-year-old boy's eyes went on for miles and miles. That's what I had to look forward to that day. And my father Bruno saying, Juanito, you want to do this for the rest of your life? Or do you want to get a college education? It was a no-brainer. I knew I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. But of course, no one in my family had gone to college. And every message I was getting from society was that Mexican-American kids weren't college material. I wanted to go to college. I desperately wanted to be a reporter. But back in San Antonio and back across most of America back then, there were very few people who looked like me and sounded like me on radio and television. But thanks to the civil rights movement, broadcast stations in places like San Antonio were forced to diversify their staffs. There were protests and picket signs outside studios, black and brown folks demanding that these radio and TV stations hire a staff that resembled the audience that they were catering to. And I have no doubt that had it not been for that civil rights movement, there would be no John Quinones on ABC News today. If those people. If good people had not waged those bold battles that gave some of us not a government handout, but a helping hand that we also desperately needed. So I feel very privileged to be here tonight, honoring the legacy of Andrew Goodman, James Chaney, and Michael Schwerner, honored and humbled to be in the presence of these civil rights visionaries and icons, Andrew Young, Harry Belafonte, Bob Moses, Clarence B. Jones. What would I do? I would thank them again and again and again from the bottom of my heart. As we say in Spanish, muchísimas, muchísimas gracias. Con todo corazón. Thank you. Thank you. And now, for the reason we're here tonight, the Hidden Heroes program. It honors social action that gets results. The program aims to inspire, to educate, to reward people who take personal responsibility for healing the world. The program recognizes and provides a grant to mid-career nonprofit and social enterprise leaders. It honors humanitarians with a legacy award, and it facilitates a fellowship program opportunity for emerging young adult leaders who work at Hidden Hero organizations. Now, this program exemplifies the spirit that motivated Andrew Goodman to travel to Mississippi in 1964, an ordinary person engaged in extraordinary action for a more peaceful, a more just, and a more sustainable world. Hidden Heroes are nominated by their peers and are selected by the Andrew Goodman Foundation Board of Trustees. Awardees are presented with a medal at an annual recognition ceremony and a grant to sustain and expand the work of their nonprofit or social enterprises organizations, and an in-house Andrew Goodman Foundation Fellow for Social Change. Tonight, I will be joined on stage by my lovely co-presenter, Jamila Lemieux. Jamila, please come out here. She is a writer, a cultural critic, based in New York. She's also the senior digital editor for Ebony magazine, correct? And she was recently honored by The Root as one of the 100 most influential African Americans in the entire country. Jamila, you look beautiful. Thank you.